You should talk to make sure that your section of the video gets recorded.
Let's see here. Okay. I don't know, buddy. Let's see here. There's got to be something.
I'm gonna learn. How are you, man? This is fantastic.
This is super fantastic. And you know what? Here's the thing: is we can use this setup too as our we can use this setup as our figuring out what our topic is going to be for this improv talk, this improv communication. Because I want to have like one specific, almost tent spike, if you will, for that. You know how like a circus tent has that middle tent pipe spike that everything else draws off of, right? And that's the thing that holds it up. And you can tie down all kinds of other stuff. And you and me, I know we're like this. We're going to go all over the place, right? But if we have that main center topic of the main thing that we want to talk about, whatever it is going to be, and I know that we're going to be kind of all over the place anyway, but what is that main thing that when I say improv, what is it that means to you? What is that? You hear that?
I did. It's the things that go bump in the night. Yes, I do understand that metaphor, though. I always mistakenly call it the longest tent in the pool. I always flip-flop it.
Hey, are you recording right now?
I am. I did not know.
Cool, good. Because if you do that, then will you just throw that up on Google Drive and I'll just take it later?
I sure can.
All right, cool.
I will certainly edit out all the good stuff and give you just the boring things.
No, you have to. Okay, otherwise I'm going to start a whole new Zoom call and I'm going to take it.
No,
and I'm going to control the recording, because if you take that long to go through and like trim it up and make it perfect, that goes completely against everything that we're talking about in improv, dude.
I don't even know what we're talking about. So that's good that you said that, because I have no context or no subject or no, what's the word, other than your tent pole analogy. I don't know what you want to talk about. So
here's my thought process, okay? So basically, I'm starting a podcast and blogs and all that kind of stuff, talking to people that I admire that are great in improv, that have experience in improv, or improv has affected their life in some way, in some form or fashion. And so I know that you have a ton of
Zoom. You said people you admire and who are good at improv. Clearly I am in the wrong Zoom.
So Tommy, and this won't be part of it anyway. Like, I mean, this is just kind of like the setup, because I didn't get a chance to talk to you beforehand on the phone of figuring out what it was that key topic that I wanted to talk about, you know? Okay. So in the past, I've talked about adaptability and being able to pivot on the fly. I've talked about perfection, and how perfection is the antithesis of what you want in improv, because you want to just go with the flow. You want to roll with it. You want to roll with the punches. I think one of the cool things to talk about with you would be confidence and quick responses.
Oh, sorry. Do I? Or maybe going for the joke is not the thing to do.
Holy crap. This is just gold already. You know that? Guys, Tommy, we're going to just start this, okay? We're going to start this. I'm going to do my intro. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay,
and
I love
it's going to be fantastic, okay?
No,
here we go.
Awesome. I love
Ready? It. And I'm going to include this first part, by the way, too. All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Cavin Gray, and I am talking with my good friend, Tommy Schaefer. Tommy, it is so good to be on this Zoom call with you. Thank you so much for joining me. The fact is, I admire you so much with just you as a person and who you are as an improviser, as a friend, we've had plenty of phone calls where we have spent a long time talking on the phone, talking about all kinds of different things. And I wanted to jump on a call with you today specifically to talk about improv and how that has impacted your life as a whole and in specific areas, talking about, you know, not necessarily specific exercises in regards to improv, but how those improv exercises has impacted your life. And when I think of you specifically, Tommy, not only do I chuckle and have a big smile on my face, but I think of you and I think of, man, you're so fast, you're so quick. Your mind, it seems like it just runs at like 1,000 frames per second.
Aw.
That it just, boom, you can listen to what somebody's saying and then come up with a response immediately. It's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll give away the secret right now. It's constantly running, and I am coming up with responses at 1,000,000 times a second, and 999,999,999 of those fail and are miserable every time. But one catches per second, and that makes me seem fast. But I just go with the volume, and
I see you as a hummingbird. It makes me think of a hummingbird, right? You have these like tons of flaps of the wing, but somehow you're floating in midair and it just looks seamless, right? There's all this work that goes on behind in the background, you know, and there's a lot of gold in that statement that I literally just said. There's a lot of work that goes on in the background of the flapping of the wings to make it look to the audience or whoever you're talking to, their eye, that it's just seamless. It's just smooth. It's just perfect motion, right?
You're making my day over here.
But I mean it. I mean it though, you know. And so let's talk about that in regards to improv. But first of all, before we get into all that, I'd love for you to talk about kind of your background in improv and performance and all that kind of stuff. Where did you get started? Why did you get started? You know, it doesn't have to be too in depth, but like, what got you into improv in the first place? Because I actually don't know the story.
Oh my goodness! And I haven't thought about this story in a very, very, very long time. And in the essence of breaking a rule of improv, I was already thinking of my response while you were asking the question, which is like, no, I shouldn't have been doing that. So again, I like to do these calls and in full transparency, so I'll disclose that. So I'm going to erase everything I was thinking of.
And that's why I love these calls too, is that I love not pre-planning too much, because it forces me to, because I'm the same way. Like, I like to have things set up. I like to know the outcome. I like to have control.
Right.
And when I force myself into a situation like this, where I don't have control and I gotta go. Yep. Whatever happens. It's a trust thing, right? Like, you have to let go of the outcome and trust yourself that you have enough, you have the skills, you have the ability, everything that you need to get to the place at which that destination, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I interrupted. And so how did you start? How did you start in improv? What got you into it?
Oh my goodness, we're gonna go down so many rabbit holes, because I love what you just said.
And I knew it was gonna happen with this conversation, Tommy. Like, it's just you and me.
I'm reading your text. 15 minutes. That's adorable. There's no way. We can't even do an intro.
So just a little backstory for you guys watching this. So I texted Tommy. I said, hey, when can we jump on a Zoom call and talk about improv? And it took you a while to get back to me, quite frankly. And when you did, you said, I just sent you one for 4 p.m. I'm finishing up an email to a client. Oh, no, hold on. That was right. You said, seriously, I just got off an awesome Zoomy chat, and said out loud, man, I got to do more of these, just as your message came in. And then I said, so, with like 7 O's, now I'll send an invite. And that's
when I was already sending you an invite.
Yeah, and you were sending me an invite. And so we had that boom, like, let's go, let's do it. And I think there's 2 different people in the world. People that love that spontaneous, like, boom, let's go, let's get this done. And people that love to plan. And I don't know about you, but I'm actually both.
Oh my God, I was going to say that. I hate your guts. Hate your guts, because I am actually absolutely, hands down, like, always fighting with self. Both.
Yeah, and there's like 2 sides.
One of them win. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And so going through the process of learning about myself as a person and as a character in improv, you know, you understand where you are going to get in your own way and stop you from moving forward. And so when I do that kind of stuff and I say, hey, Tommy, jump on a Zoom call with me now. And you say, oh, give me 15 minutes so that I can,
put on my shirt,
get ready, put my suit on and everything before the Zoom call. That's me saying, hey, I gotta stop the other side of me that has to have everything perfect, everything regular, everything in line and set up.
Yeah, because it makes for a beautiful end product. Because you just said it 3 minutes ago, and you just alluded to it 3 seconds ago. What better way to guarantee disappointment than to have an expectation, right? So if you go into it without the expectation,
oh man,
like you can't fail. It could only be like mediocre or better, right? So, but you set the expectation, and you immediately are guarantee yourself, at least people who give a shit, a bleep about what they're doing, you're gonna come under the bar, and there's always gonna be some better way to do it. So yeah, going in without the expectation is like so freeing, because you sort of can't fail, because you can't compare it to anything. So you scientifically cannot fail, but
exactly.
I mean, we'll find a way to dissect it and make it better.
So Tommy, you're brilliant. How did you get started?
I love that you asked that, because I haven't thought about this story for a long time, and I'm gonna have to think of the mechanics. Was I 28? Man,
at one point you were, I'm sure about it.
Yeah, because 2003-ish, maybe. We were trying to figure out something new to do for birthdays. Like I was finally. Well,
who's we? When you say we, who are you talking about?
Oh my goodness!
You and the personalities inside, or was it you?
No, the mouse in the pocket, the personalities inside. No, I believe it was.
We got to figure something out.
Who the? Are you talking to I see your microphone there. It's not a mouse in your pocket. Also, kudos to you for being wired up. I appreciate that. The audio engineer, me on the other side, by the way, I'm speaking into my bare naked computer laptop mic, and it probably sounds like crap. So you, luckily, good on you. So I gotta up my game there. However,
hey, and kudos to you for noticing that.
Right? For background
competition, kudos to you for noticing that, because I don't think you could see it except for the wrinkle in my shirt.
And that's why I noticed, because I'm like, I know that wrinkle. That's coming from an alligator clip.
So a little backstory too. Tommy is amazing at sound design, and he is one of the guys that I call when I have a huge budget to spend on him for sound, because I know that I'm going to get impeccable audio when I hire this guy. So that's a little backstory on Tommy.
But speaking
of out of the bag. Shoot, you're not just a creative, you're also a technical genius.
I also play technicals on TV. That's funny, because the far backstory, if I go way back, that's involved. But I won't go as far back, and I'll go to just Phoenix before improv, but what got me into it. And that was, I believe it was approaching my 29th birthday. That's right, I was 28 and approaching my 29th birthday. I think I'll have to go back, and we'll put liner notes or whatever you do in these things to fact check at the end, because I'm gonna spout some shit.
It's improv. We could just pretend like you were just
right. Because my character said that, not me. Okay. So yeah, we're trying to find something non-drunken to do for a birthday, because it's like we go out, we drink, we have fun time, and it's like, let's do something sort of productive for a birthday for once. And I found the Jesters, and it was an improv show in Scottsdale. Friday night, I think I went to, and it was me, the girl I was dating at the time, and maybe 2 other people went. And
the other 2 girls that you were dating.
Yes. And the best part is they all know about each other. That's why we went to the show together. You're a dork. That's very different today, because I sit alone in my empty house, single.
But we don't want to talk about that, Tommy. No. Let's move on to so you were back at improv. So you were at the Jesters. So you went to the Jesters. You know what's so funny is that's very similar to my experience with getting into improv, is that I started at the Jesters. I found the Jesters. Well, my parents found the Jesters, and they loved it. And then they brought me there the next weekend. And then my sister was having a birthday party, a surprise party there. And
Also,
so
see,
we
look at that.
surprised her there and had a good time, and invited a bunch of her friends and everything like that. So it was pretty cool. So you found the Jesters,
I love it.
and then what? What was it like? Did you saw a show on Friday night, and was there a moment which you went, "Oh my gosh, this is me. Like these are the people that I connect with,"
Yeah.
or what was it like?
It was fantastic because I laughed the whole time. It was 90 minutes of nonstop laughing,
Yeah.
and then the setup couldn't have been better because 2 weeks prior, I was at the Improv in Tempe to go see a stand-up show, and that's like whatever the ticket was, $40. I don't even remember now if it was a ticket price, but there's, the food is not cheap, and there's a 2-drink minimum, and then our mistake, but tip was included, but we didn't know, so we tipped on top of that, and it was like $100 minimum for a date with one other person, and I won't disclose the person, but it was someone from old school Saturday Night Live who was amazing back in the day, but just struggling in the current stand-up career, and it was not good. It was certainly not worth $50 a person. So anyway, there was that 2 weeks prior, and then for $10 lousy and 90 minutes later, we're still laughing and banging our knees. The Jesters were through the roof. That was my first exposure to I almost said short term. That's how long it's been since I've been on stage. But short form, that was my first exposure to short form improv, any improv for that matter. And it was light years beyond in the quality compared to this allegedly professional establishment with, the single mic, a water bottle on a stool, and the brick wall background that everyone knows to be stand-up. And
Jesters, I can't tell you, like, they still hold a huge place in my heart, in that Jeff Rawls, the owner of Jesters, genius in regards to this company and how he's grown it to be what it is. I mean,
yeah.
And like you, when I would see their shows, I would sit in the audience and I'm busting up laughing, and I'm thinking to myself, how in the world are these people doing this?
Right.
How in the world? And to see that as someone who has struggled with self-confidence growing up, and for feeling out of place my entire childhood in a lot of ways. And I won't bore you with those stories, but like, being homeschooled and moving at the start of my high school, missing the first 3 days of high school because of moving down, where everybody else they all knew each other then. And then I'm walking in and I'm the new kid, but I am the new kid of the new kids.
Yeah.
And so then you see these guys on stage, and they'll step out from the side of the stage and have all this confidence. They have no fear of failure. And if they do fail, then they just pick it up and just go. And they work that into the scene. And it was for me personally, I don't know about you, but when I saw these guys, it was therapeutic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Was that how it was for you?
Not at that moment, but looking back, it's how all theater is, I think, for all people. Like it's this energy, it's this planet forming with its gravity, and it's pulling in little bits of rock and growing, like, and the community it pulls in is a community that was, I think, in some way missing something and looking for. It's absolutely the island of misfits, right? Like we all come together, like, oh my God, you love this thing and I love this thing, and bloop, but that thing isn't always the same for every atomic little molecule with some dude revolving around the other. Like, so you build these really unique relationships that are all based on a similar commonality. It's like we always say, you have family all over the world, right? You go to any improv show in any state, any country, any city, and talk to the people after the show, and you guys, we immediately have all of this context, and you're starting in the middle. even in life, you know, when you catch someone after a show, you're in the middle of the scene already because you know so much about each other, because you share this common thing.
Because there's a lot of vulnerability that comes from improvising. Would you say so? I mean, where you get on stage and your ideas, yeah, they're your ideas, and you will spit something out of your mouth, some words or a character or an idea, and the family that you have on stage and that you've also included with the audience, because the audience becomes your family at that point too. It's okay. I'm throwing something out that's coming from in here or in here, and it's I trust that the players on stage with me and the audience is all going to accept that. There's this, it's like a beautiful love fest that goes on at these shows that I really can't describe it other than just incredible, unexpected therapy.
Yeah. But there's a fine line there too. And I think it's what you're alluding to, but therein lies the vulnerability, right? That thing that you said comes from here or here, and you know, a better scene is going to come from here, not here. If you really accept it, right? If you're like
I'm still learning. Thank you, Tom.
No, that was just an obvious. That was an obvious go for it. But there lies the vulnerability, because this thing, when it comes from these places, it's your. First of all, these places are yours. That thing you created is yours. You're damn proud of that, and it's yours, and you're happy. And this is the thing. This is your contribution to the scene. All of that just happened in 200 nanoseconds, right? And now you wait, and the clock is, and you're hoping that the thing that you contributed is beautiful, and you're proud of it, and then it's not, or it has that possibility to not be, like, oh, you're so on the wire to be. That's vulnerable. Well, I'm not forming sentences, so
no, that's true. You know, and that's where the trust comes in with your scene partners. It's that you put something out there. And just like this was me doing the hummingbird,
yes,
but slowing
it down. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you caught that, but
I sure did.
I'm sure you did. But you put that out there with your scene partners that, hey, this is my idea, and you may not know the end of that railroad, and the end of that railroad is the cliff, and you have to have your scene partners build the other part of that railroad for your train to get across that canal, you know, that cavern. What's it called?
Ravine.
Canyon. Ravine.
Canyon. Well, you know, there's many geological things we could choose.
So with that being said,
right.
One of the best, I think this is a good point, a good time to mention how you can destroy a scene. Is that
that's why you brought me on here. I am the scene destroyer.
As I brought Tommy on here so that you could witness what it's like to destroy a scene. Tommy, go.
I love that you addressed the camera specifically there. That was awesome PTC right there. You did a piece of camera. You're a little.
No, so if you want to destroy a scene, say you and I are in a scene together, and you throw something out at me that is an idea, and it's abstract, but it's a scene. And then I take that and I go for the joke and I just make fun of it. And I take this idea that you had and I say, ha, 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 and throw it aside. The audience is going to laugh. I'm going to laugh as a character, but it just destroyed the scene. Right?
It's scene, 1 inch deep and 1,000 miles wide. But that's not the scene. That's not the scene that people walk out of a show saying, remember that when, you know, it's the 1 inch deep. Sorry, 1,000 miles deep, 1 inch wide stuff that sticks. And it's
where they go,
your
wow,
brain just went there because just when you were saying that earlier, I was thinking these vulnerabilities, and when you cast it out and you're hoping that it's the right thing, that's in a melting pot of beginner improvisers. I think what you start to separate the way advanced people, you start seeing there is no mistake. And in fact, Bob freaking Fisher comes to mind immediately, because he was the man. I was new.
And who is Bob Fisher? Who is Bob Fisher?
Thank you. Bob Fisher is the grandfather of improv, or the father of improv. I think the grandfather is Mick Napier and David Wazowski and the Pope, all put together in one. Bob Fisher is a longtime friend, and he was part of the Torch Theater in Phoenix. He was way before that. He was part of Second City. Hell, he might have even been in the Compass Players, for all I know. No, he didn't go that far back. But as long as I know him, he's been doing improv all of his life, or whatever, for whatever that means. But I remember a moment in my improv career with Bob Fisher, because I was ridiculously new. We're in a show format that I think I made up because it was my birthday month, and we wanted to do a special run of shows. So we did what we call the Gemini show in June. So every show had to be 2 people. So it was Gemini, twins, blah, blah. And anyway, it was my first 2-man show ever. And I was so scared. I'm so new. And every single, Bob Fisher made me feel like everything that came out of my mouth was gold. I walked away from that scene that show feeling like $1 bazillion. And I thought, I just figured out improv tonight. And I didn't. I absolutely did not. Nothing changed inside of me. It was putting myself with a player that is truly committed to saying yes and to everything, not just the positive. Someone says, "Oh, I have this puppy. Oh, I love puppies." Like, that's a yes, and without the and, of course, in this example. But like, a true yes doesn't have to be positive, right? A true yes doesn't like your scene partner comes on stage and says, "I want to assassinate the president." The positive beginner yes and would be, "Oh yes, assassinating the president is a brilliant idea. Let's do it." That's stupid. That is a bad choice. There are some bad choices. Like,
that's the 1 inch deep, the mile wide.
Exactly, because it's not grounded in reality. Like, how would you really react to someone saying, "Let's go assassinate the president"? Let's see that scene, because that's the scene everyone wants to see, right? Like, and you don't want to say, "No, let's not assassinate the president. You're crazy." Mm-hmm. Again, another bad choice. But
you keep the flow of that scene going. You understand it's putting yourself into that reality that has just been created. That is the yesing. Yeah. That is accepting the reality that say, hey, if you come into a scene and you say, "I want to assassinate the president," I'm going to say,
"Holy crap.
Whoa.
It's about to get real." Yeah.
Let me turn on some fans and some music so we can talk without the government listening. Okay?
Exactly. There you go. This is a scene I want to see.
Look, hey, bud, this is serious, man. I know that you have this podcast and this blog that you've been getting really fired up about the president, but I never thought that it would get to this far. And
then go for the joke and be like, "Wait a minute, which president are you talking about?" "Oh, the president of the
current, past, or future."
No problem. Let's go. Let's get his ass.
Right?
That's great. Anyway,
dude, that's awesome.
But Bob Fisher, I think, is a great example in this. An example of ridiculously advanced players, as are many people, but Bob comes to mind because he showed me that night that, but he was that player, like everything. And Jill Bernard said it once in a class brilliantly. She said, every mistake that's made is woven back into the quilt that is the scene. So, and maybe Bob Fisher said that as well. I don't know, but let's give Jill the credit.
He was the last one to say it. Now we can give you the credit because you were the last one to say it.
Yes, and I love it. Oh my God, I haven't talked about improv for so long. This is exciting.
Dude,
we need to do this.
It's healing to the soul, man. It's healing to the soul, and I know that you can relate to that because
my soul is black.
Your soul is beyond repair, but whatever, I'm just kidding. It's always able to be repaired.
It just might take
a whole nother subject. But specifically speaking about the world that we live in today, I know that this stuff, COVID-19, isolation, the chaos in the world, which if you can take a step back from it, you'll realize that, okay, hey, we have these worldwide crises, we have these national crises that take place ever so often. And guess what? There's going to be another one in the future. You can quote me, I didn't cause it, but I can guarantee you that there's going to be another one. Right? And so, with that being the case, it's how do you manage when you're in the trenches right now? When you're in that muck of this experience of, okay, we got to stay inside. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of people losing their jobs. There's a lot of people that have lost loved ones. There's confusion with the media, like media saying one thing, media is also saying the other thing.
Man.
How do you go through all this stuff? And it's so easy, for me at least, to get wrapped up in, okay, I've got to keep my head down. I've got to make sure that I stay focused. I've got to, grind and work hard on my side hustle, on my regular job, and really just, I've got to just grit my teeth and just take it, right? Because I'm a man and I can handle it, and I'm going to provide for my family. I'm going to provide for my friends. I'm just going to, and I think that improv takes a step back, and you go, when you're a kid, when I look at my son, who's 2 years old, he has no clue about what's going on in the world. All he knows is that dad is on his computer working a lot, or he's getting agitated and he won't come play with me.
Yep.
And I think in a lot of ways, improv gets you back to that playful side of life. And
I love that so much.
one of the best things that I heard from the hospital, there was so I work at Phoenix Children's Hospital as their lead creative services specialist. So basically making videos and stuff for the hospital. And there was I was talking to Child Life, and Child Life handles the play of children and making sure that kids are when they have a procedure, or they're going through a cancer treatment or any other procedure, they stay healthy mentally and physically because of that they're still kids. They're not getting so quiet and going internal and stuff. But the thing that I got from one of the people that works for Child Life, or the leader, I can't remember who it was, they said, play is the work of children. You and I, we work at a job, or we work hard. Play is the work of children. That's their job.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I think about that and I go, wow, how important is that then for kids to have time to play and have that encouragement to play? And then you fast forward, and then you go into adult life and you go, why did it have to stop that we shouldn't play anymore? We shouldn't play. And I think that's where improv comes in, is that it's bringing back that vital element of human life and just vitality of play that we forget about when we get into the grind of life. Would you relate to, do you relate to that?
Oh my God, on 1,000 levels. And it's my big challenge in things like this is letting go of all my thoughts while you're talking, so that I can respond to the last thing you said and be in the moment with you, which is an important
I talk a lot.
thing. No. I think a lot too. So it compounds. But think about that play where think of when you are, most of the times kids play on their own, right? A little truck for hours and hours. Maybe that's me and my autistic tendencies. I don't know. but like, think of the stillness and the quietness and the moment, the complete dedication you have to the moment in those scenarios that you have.
Well, and think about when you, as an adult, have those moments when you can actually play or get wrapped up in some creative endeavor where you just lose track of time and a few hours go by and you go, wow, where did the time go? Wow, I feel so good.
They're the most rewarding times. And hopefully that's all billable time you can put to a client's invoice. Then you're doing it. Then you're doing it. You're in the right job, right?
And that is the balance of work and play in its essence right there, the work and play.
Yeah. Unfortunately, 90% of the time where I'm like, oh, that was so great, was not billable time. It was a rabbit hole that I need to turn around to come out of very fast because there's other shit to be done. But your point is very, very valid there because, well, I mean, to put context around it, you know this, but I have experience in improv, I experience in stage theater, musicals, and also in Meisner method. I got really deep and interested in Meisner technique for many years. All of those worlds, the same thing, we drill the same things, and that is shedding the weight of what we've been taught our entire adult lives, and that is to be an adult and stop being a kid, stop acting like a kid. And then we step into these acting classes, no matter what the name behind it is or the founder and whatnot, it's all the same. It's all exercises to shed the shields, the adult shields that we've been putting up and trying to put up. And it's time to play again. And heck, I gotta go. It's time to play. No, I don't know how to.
But you're right. It gets into a deeper place. You know, that life was meant to be experienced and rich and full and
not busy, just busy. Think about how often, and it's my biggest pet peeve, and it's one of my biggest fights as a human, to stay human with other people and not like want to tear someone's head off and puke down their neck when I say, how have you been? They say, busy. Like, I don't care. We're all busy. I get it. I asked how. How have you been? I want to know things about you and your life, and tell me things and beautiful things and what you've been doing. But I hope you've been busy, because that's sort of what we all do, you know. We had to eat and stay alive. Like, oh my God.
And if you haven't been busy, what are your talents, so that I can give you some of my stuff, so that you can be busy with my stuff, so that I can be less busy?
Don't even go there, because nowadays in our lockdown, I cannot tell you how frustrated I get. Every single post I see, like, oh my God, I'm so bored. Here's a game. Join my Farmville. I'm like, I have a list of 583 and a half things that I could have you working on right now. Who's been bored since they've been 5 years old? Like, I don't get it. These are not my peers.
Oh gosh, that's a whole nother Zoom call that we're gonna have to jump on. It's a whole nother Zoom call.
I'm trying to be polite here, but oh my God.
Tommy, what is just for the sake of this video, because I don't want to overwhelm people with stuff, because I know that you and I we can
late.
Right, dude. It's all right. But here's one of the things that I want to I love everything that we've been talking about. It's all over the place, and I'm going to go back and watch this again, and I'm going to comment on the comments that people have about this from all different walks of life and all different areas and different places in life.
Good.
And but I want to ask you, from your experience, what is your one piece of advice that you would give people in regards to, you've gone through improv training, you perform improv, you have helped, your improv has impacted your life outside of performance in tremendous ways, and I know that's the case because it's the same for me. What is your one piece of advice for people? And I don't want to leave it open right there, because I want to give you some structure, because that's also where improv is.
It's so funny, because the engineer in me was already forming questions like, so give me context around the person asking this question. Is it getting into improv, getting a regular person?
How about this? Maybe not advice, but maybe a tip. an improv tip that you would give someone that the main improv tip that's impacted your life the most significantly, what is that tip that you would give to someone else that may be getting into improv, maybe has no experience with improv, or has tons of improv experience? What's something that improv has done for you that's really impacted your life that you would like to share? And this is completely off the cuff. I didn't prep
Right.
Tommy for this. I didn't give you
I'm
this
already
question.
I'm already stressing out because like, oh man, there's a quick answer, there's a medium answer, and there's a long answer, and none of them are right. No, all of those, just throw them away. And so, wow.
It's a deep question, and it's big. And you're the first person that I've asked this question to. That's why
Is that a lie? Is
I
that for
stuttered a
real?
lot.
Is that is that true?
It's true. That's
Well,
true.
it seems like something you should ask people more.
I
Well,
know. That's why I'm asking you.
yes,
It's all part of improv. Here's the thing, too, is, I stress out a lot about having things perfect, organized, and I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to do one video a week for a year, and it's going to be this beautiful package and stuff. Well, that's great, but if you don't ever do it, nobody ever sees it. So for me, I know that I have to act before I think in a lot of ways. I'll prep and have an idea, but then I got to move. I got to act. So is there anything like that improv has really impacted your life that you go, wow, this is the thing that I always go back to? When you think of improv, this is the thing that I go back to. To let go of fear, to let go of perfection, to embrace mistakes. Do you have anything like that?
I do, and like I think it's not in the spirit of improv. It's not exactly along what you were just saying, but what you just said inspired a cascade of thoughts in my mind. Did I just do the cuckoo sign accidentally?
I'm gonna make that a meme,
subconscious people.
That'll
So
be a GIF.
from now on, from here on out, no one's gonna listen to a thing I'm saying. It's cuckoo. No, but that your words inspired a thought, and I've surprised myself in what came up because it's more nuts and bolts of improv than I thought it would be, and not like philosophical learning. But like I think, and I love bringing up names, but I think it was in a Craig Kowski workshop where he got a question from a member of the class, and it was a great question. They said, what can I do as an improviser to have more interesting scenes? And it might have been Brian O'Connell actually, because now I could see him saying something like this. But either of those two dudes could have easily said this.
Who said it last?
Who said it last? I will have full credit after this. But so the question from the well-posed class member was, how could I have more interesting scenes? And without missing a beat, and it's and to this day, and it's why it's my answer now, because I still think of it, he said, just be a more interesting person. And I was like, well, that was easy. You got out of that one. But the more you think about it, it's brilliant because
yep.
You know this, being an improviser yourself, but how often do we see our peers in improv drilling scenes, practice, show? I got to do a show every week and it's like, I noticed this when I was with an ensemble. All of our shows started having so many inside jokes. All of our shows had all of this
I know where you're going.
About improv, and it's an improv scene about improv, and I'm like, no one wants, no $10, $15, $20 paying audience member came to see us joke about the mechanics of zip zap zop, for crying out loud, so his advice was to be a more interesting person, and that means to have more interesting improv scenes, stop doing improv. Go out and do something you would never do. Go out and
experience life.
Have a freaking life, and then come back and make that choice on stage that is like, poof, what? Would have never thought of that if I didn't just have that trip to the Bahamas on a raft or whatever crazy thing you did, And I love it. And But
that
that,
was I had I have a similar experience with that when we were doing the Dramagenics back in
oh my goodness, way back.
2010 and 11 or 2009 and 10, something like that. It was a long time ago, where we were doing shows every Friday, Saturday night, 7 and 9 o'clock, and it was just every weekend, every weekend, every
And
weekend.
then working during the week, right? So no one really had weekends. Their
Yeah.
weekends, their shows. Yep.
And
Yep.
so when you do that, like you said, you're consumed by this. And I can't remember who it was that gave that advice, because I've heard this advice before. And
It was Brian O'Connell, right? Or either Brian O'Connell or Ricky Kowski.
I think it was Tommy Schaefer.
They just go from city to city giving the exact same advice.
But and this goes beyond just being an improviser. If you're stuck in life, if you feel like life is dull and you can't get past certain struggles, go learn something. Go step outside of your comfort zone. Go do something different. I was reminded by my mom. I was talking to her the other day, and she told me, she reminded me of this story. I went to college out in Azusa Pacific University in California for my first year. And Azusa Pacific, it's in near Pasadena, in Azusa, that kind of thing. And there was one class, I had a psychology class that I took, and I thought I was skating by because I felt like I had the upper hand on the teacher. It was an easy class. I was like, we had to write about what was going on throughout the week. One specific class, she did a relaxation exercise where we all laid down on the floor and we closed our eyes, we listened to music, and we did this meditation. And then she said, okay, open your eyes and sit back in your seat. And I pretended like I was asleep, even though I wasn't asleep, just because I just wanted to sleep. I was like, and I overheard her. Some of the other students were saying, hey, Cavin's still on the floor. He's asleep. And she said, well, he must need the sleep. And at the time, I thought I was getting away with murder, right? I was like, oh, this is amazing. I'm acing this class. But guess what class I remember the most out of my entire freshman year at that school?
Thermodynamics.
That class.
No, yeah, that class.
That class.
Yeah.
And there was an exercise in that class that was, it was a fear exercise where she had us write down 1 through 10 on a sheet of paper, and 1 represented the lowest fear and 10 represented the thing that we were the most afraid of. And we had to fill in something for each one of those numbers. And then after we filled those in, we had to take one of those top 5, so 6 through 10, and do one of those things.
Oh, man.
And one of mine was when I was growing up, I was very shy. I didn't let anybody in. I didn't let anybody know what I was actually feeling or what I was thinking. And one of mine, it was probably number 8 or 9, was talk to someone.
That's the highest.
The highest, most fearful.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And one of mine was talk to someone about what was on my heart or what I was thinking or feeling. And I remember going to looking back, it seems so simple. It seems so little, minuscule.
You surmounted that challenge. Yeah.
At the time, it was huge for me. So I went to this basketball game or a volleyball game or something like that for the school. And I was with a friend of mine, and we were sitting there. And to this day, I couldn't tell you what it was that I told her, but it was something. It was something probably little that, I don't know, I felt strongly about something, or I just opened up basically, and I was vulnerable with this person. And I told her this, and to her, I'm sure she never really thought twice about it, but it was at that point that I was like, wow, I opened up, I let someone see inside and see the real me, and I didn't die. And it was huge. And that all came from that class that I thought that I was skating by.
Yeah. You thought it was the easy A,
It was the easy A.
So you got an easy A and a life-changing experience. That's easier A.
just to give you some extra context for that, I did my final. I had to do a something creative that 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 expressed to the teacher that we learned stuff in the class. And so I did a poem, and then I also did an interpretive dance to Kelly Clarkson Breakaway.
What?
And
Awesome.
I guarantee, so I show
Was
up
this
to class.
psychology? Did you say the class was psychology? Okay, I cannot wait to share another.
I think it was like an intro to psychology or something.
Nice.
So I show up to class and I've got sweatpants on and a really, really tight cut off Under Armour shirt. And I've got a bandana on too. And she's like, who wants to present? And I was like, I will. And so I go out into
You've been waiting to pounce on that all class.
And we had been practicing this dance. There was a buddy of mine on the hall that we were practicing this dance. And I was getting the movements and stuff. And so I go out there and I press play on whatever it was. I don't think it was a phone. I don't know what it was. We played it. And I'm crouched down and you know the song. And so I start swaying to the music and stuff. And I'm doing all kinds of stuff. And it was a complete joke to me. But it all comes back to, like, I remember those moments because those were the times that I was playing the most and I was the most free. And I was just like, hey, let's have fun. Yeah. So to wrap all this up.
Boo, no wrap ups. Let's go for another hour.
I'm going to have to get you back on here, Tommy. I definitely will, because
I have like 5 things written down. So we already have our next.
Oh, perfect. Is there anything that you want to leave people with? Anything, any last thoughts?
Oh man. Well, last thoughts in the big picture, I don't know. But I'm dying to relate to you because we always have these crazy similarities. And just hearing you tell me about this, your Psych 101 being a joke, not to condone treating classes as a joke. You should go in and treat the teacher and the subject with respect, please. But so I was an engineer, and we had barely any free space in our schedule. Our electives were like a list of engineering classes you could choose from. It was like, here's your electives. You could take thermodynamics, nuclear fuel. I'm like, I need something different. Anyway, in my first year of college, Psych 101 was on the list. So I thought, and a lot of engineers took it because of that thing you just talked about. It was allegedly this easy win, easy A. Skipping ahead, they had a textbook and a workbook, and at the end of every lecture series or whatever, whether it would be a week or a chapter, I forget what the timeline demarcation was, but we would go away and be able to work on the workbook for all of the chapters that were just on lecture, that this teacher did lecture. So I did that first one, and I spent hours answering all the questions. There were multiple choice essays, like diagrams you would fill in, like just basically reviewing the material from those chapters. Brought the workbook in, and we would get like an extra 10 points on a test or something if we completed it. It was optional, but I thought, heck yeah, I'm going to do it. So the TA at the time called us or let us all know, like, oh, we want to check your workbooks. So I thought we were going to hand them in, and the TA was going to check them over the next week and really read the answers. No, she took the workbook in hand, leafed through to make sure all the answers and everything were filled in, and then gave the workbook back, and we got our points. So guess where I kept my journal for college for the rest of that class? Every answer to every question was like, so, I met this person and we're at this fraternity, and I would tell stories in all of the space for all the questions and basically so it was a throwaway, and I thought I was totally getting away with murder in my Psych 101 as well. But the real life lesson is, guess who still has that workbook and is full of ridiculously awesome college memories?
Interesting.
And so like I still don't forget my Psych 101 as well for different reasons, but I could totally relate to that.
Less spandex, but
yeah, I think you're a lot younger.
That might be another story.
You're a lot younger than I. So you were in college when I was already out.
Retired.
In fact, you're only going into college now. Your time travel.
Oh, Tommy.
That's totally non sequitur. Sorry, but it was the only tie was Psych 101.
But I think one of the lessons, one of the takeaways from both our stories is that you take the experiences in life, and there's golden opportunities no matter what you go through. And the times that you feel like you're not learning at all are probably the times that you're learning the most.
Oh my
If you
goodness.
just don't
How
know it.
footprints of you. That's a very footprints poem to speak like. That's perfect. Yeah.
So keep that in mind as well. I should be talking to these people. Keep that in mind as you go through life, in that, you know, you have these struggles and challenges, and you may not know why you're going through those things, but you're going through it for a reason, whether it's to build the skills for something that you're going through right now, or something that you're going to go through in the future. And that's one of the things that I love about improv, is that you can just play and build the skills to adapt and handle basically any situation that's thrown at you, kind of with grace, you know, that, hey, I'm going to get through this. I've done it 1,000 times before on stage. And even if you're not a performer, it's, I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah, I don't think I've found any time in life, I don't know if this metaphor holds, but I'll follow through with my thought. I don't know if I found any time in life that was scarier than that brief moment in blackout when you're on stage and your scene's coming up and you have no idea what it's about. Like that is like the most empty time that we get to say we have whenever we want as improvisers, right? It is, and it always there's always something great on the other side of that.
Yep. And if you trust yourself to just step out in that blank space of, oh shoot, I have nothing, and then you come out successful because of just something that came from inside, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I think that's where I want to leave people with this tonight, because today or this morning or tonight, whenever we get this out. But the idea that, put yourself in that position to be terrified that I don't know what's going to happen. But if you're putting in the work, you know, practicing, doing some improv and playing, where the end result doesn't affect the rest of your, gosh, see now,
you and I were saying, we try to put a period on the scene, and it's like, we need the dude in the light booth to turn the lights. And then, exactly. And also, that's my school of improv, actually. It's yes, and also, and also, and also, and.
Tommy, this has been awesome, dude. I got to get you back on here. We got to talk some more, and next time we're gonna have to have a specific topic that we're gonna talk about, so that we don't go so long. But I think you're a genius in what you do. I think that you're brilliant. You're an amazing friend. Thank you for jumping on this call and talking to me about something that I'm passionate about, that you're passionate about, and hopefully helping some other people that are watching this get some little elements out of this. And here's the thing, guys, if you want to go back and watch this video, I hope you do, because there's so much stuff in here. There's so much content that if you look at it and if you watch this video again from a stepped back perspective, and just watch how Tommy talks about things and the stuff that we talk about, and how he does, it's just, I think you're going to get some extra stuff and extra value from this video that didn't come from the words themselves. So Tommy, thanks for being here, dude. I really, really appreciate it, man.
I thank you for that outro, man. And also, I had a team of tech crew. Every time the camera was on you, I rearranged the books back here in the bookshelf. So anyone that can... So every cut, we should see a different. I'm just kidding. That did not happen.
That's gonna be a lot of Photoshop you got to do, buddy.
I know, right? Sometimes you should keep your mouth shut, because I just gave ourselves a whole week of work.
How committed are you to that? Huh?
Make a choice and stick to it. There's seriously 5 spin-off episodes that we could talk more about.
Absolutely.
I love it, buddy.
I love you, buddy.
I have the control, so I should probably end this now.
Bye, you guys. Check it out next time.
Thanks for having me, sir. This was, can I also say thank you?
Yeah.
And obviously edit this out if you want, but thanks for texting and then doing this without any prep, like no background. And if you would have told me, hey, let's talk tomorrow about improv, I've been thinking about it in the shower, crafting, and then of course throw all that away. So that's just wasted time that I would not have, used anyway. But I love the rawness of something like this, that you just say, get on the phone now. And I think you said something about it earlier too. But I think
I did. And
effective.
And it makes a huge difference, because it has for me too. And I was actually talking to Franco at some point. He came over. He was interviewing me for his podcast about stepdads, and he pulled up in his truck and he's like, "Hey, jump on in," and we jumped in, and he's like, "Okay, here's the framing. Okay, we got it." And he pressed record and he goes, "Hey guys, it's Franco Zavallo, and hey, I'm with my buddy Cavin Gray. Hey, we're talking about stepdads, and hey, Cavin, tell me your story." And I'm like, "Oh,
wait, now we're doing this now?" That's crazy.
And there's so much to that that I think you're the same way too, where you go, I want to have prep time, but I know that if I don't have prep time, I'll probably be amazing, or at least acceptable, and I'll get out of my own way.
Yeah.
Because we're both perfectionists in a lot of ways, and that and that goes to the fact that you're probably not going to send me this video, even though I'm going to bug you over and over and over again to send me the raw, unedited stuff over to me.
I got time to edit. You'll get the whole thing, I promise.
Immediately after this, upload that to Drive or something like that. Get that over.
I will. The only lag will be it processes afterwards, and I'm sure there's some upload.
Exactly.
And all that editing I need to do.
And here's the thing. So Franco sent me the video that we did, he and I did, and there's some things that I would change that I go, okay, my perfectionist self would say, okay, I want to tweak this, I want to change this. But at the end of the day, there's a message that we have to get out to people, that people need to hear these things that we're talking about. And if we edit ourselves and cut that out to make it perfect, one, it takes the realness away, and it stops the message from getting out to people. So,
and in this context, that's completely hypocritical. We're saying be in the moment.
Exactly.
So there's like this of all cases. Like there's other cases maybe. Like I even think of Franco. We did a podcast together, and I had no preparation, and I embarrassed myself with some of the answers to the questions, and I was like, man, I really want to edit that out, and we did in the end, and also did the ums and the ahs, and man, you make someone sound real smart in the end of a podcast edit by taking out ums and ahs. It's amazing. But yeah, in this context, we're preaching from the gut, and so to edit that, I wouldn't sleep at night.
But to that point, people need to know that as improvisers, I've been doing this for over 10 years. You've been doing this for over how many years? More than me.
Yeah. And don't be frustrated if like, oh, that they were so good. How did they do it? Well, wait till you see all the times we failed, and we can show you that footage, and then you'll see why, we're only marginally failing in this.
But I think that will add a lot of value to people too, that people who are experienced in just going off the cuff and going with the flow also have that tendency to, I want things to be structured. I want to know the answers. I want to know that I'm going to come out successful. And it's okay if we're not.
And more, the longer it goes, the more I think like that. I think because you have more of a backlog or history of successful times. So it becomes harder and harder and harder to do things off the cuff, because I'm comparing myself to those 5 times that's now 10 times that I know it was good. So that I know I could do better carries more weight the older you get, because you've done better and better in previous. You have more history of being better as that goes on. So yeah, the thumb screws only get tighter as we go. So,
it's true. Yeah. It's true. But then it's a conscious choice to go back to saying, hey, what has that done to serve me?
Right.
Like if it hasn't served me at all, where it's only given me stress and anxiety, and sluggishness to act and take action, it doesn't serve me. So let's get back to play and let's do it. Let's go.
I don't know how you pulled this off, but just as you said sluggishness, the video froze and it went frame by frame. Like, that was brilliant. I don't know how you work that out with communications and all, but it got all pixelated and it was well done. Well done. I hope.
You got it, buddy. You know, I think that's a great point that you just said. All right, buddy, I gotta go.
Yeah,
I love you, man. Dude, thank you so much for talking to me, dude. This is solid, man. And I'm gonna surprise you one of these days too of jumping on another call, and it's gonna just so that you don't have a chance to object.
I appreciate that. No, that was great. And also, I'm not wearing pants. Just kidding. I won't. That's so old, cliche. Go for the joke.
It's okay. What I'll do is towards the end of this, I'll just put like a lost signal.
Perfect, buddy. I will end it now and put everyone out there out of their misery. Should I go audio first or video first?
I think if you just hit leave meeting, then that's going to stop the recording. Truly, truly amazing, Tommy Schaefer. I love you, buddy.
I love you too.
I knew you were still there. All right, see you, buddy.
By now, ending meeting for